First theory. Actually, second theory. We're gonna. The first theory is about a world underwater, but we're gonna start with the second theory. The second theory is I want there to be a planet or a world. Let's say a world that's just completely air, and ground does not exist. Think like Minecraft, like Skybox, like where like you spawn on like one block. You just spawn on one block, and I've never actually played it, but there's no ground to it, so everything's perpetually falling. Think of like a planet that's 90%. Oh, think of like Jupiter, not Jupiter. Yeah, think about Jupiter. You know, it's just a gas planet, but the gas is just air that you can breathe easily. And at the center of the planet is like this micro piece. Maybe it's like a core of a black hole, so it has a bunch of mass. It's just sucked in a bunch of air around it, and maybe like a small ocean in the middle to. I don't know. I'm trying to build this world right now. But basically, I want the story to be about these cities that orbit like the moon would orbit a planet, but they're orbiting the core of this planet through breathable air. Yeah, they're satellite cities, and they're breathable air.
Going around in the black hole's rotation.
There's going around in the black hole's rotation, but it's all air. It's all breathable. There's a blue sky. It's going to be very fantasy-esque. But I just want there to be this. It's a great question. Let's say there are other moons or giant kind of meteors or actually pieces of land that people can mine off of that are also orbiting inside of this air. Basically, pretend we all lived in the sky and you were just constantly orbiting through the sky. That's the mental image. So basically, if you were flying in a plane, but the plane did not need acceleration because it was constantly falling, but instead of like crashing into ground, there's no ground.
Acceleration, or it didn't need lift.
It doesn't need lift. It doesn't need acceleration. But I mean, you could use all lift because there's air. Like, you can fly, but basically, instead of crashing,
hang on. If it doesn't need acceleration, how does it go anywhere? Because if everything is spinning,
it falls.
Where is it falling?
Down.
Down?
Yeah, but there's no ground. No, because it's orbiting. So it misses the black hole.
Down, it would be falling sideways.
It would be falling sideways.
Okay. So hear me out.
In a rotational.
Falling sideways in a rotation at the same speed as everything else. It would need some sort of thrust to get it where it's going faster than everything else.
What about then? So the concept is the same concept the moon and satellites in space are using, but instead of in space, I'm basically just putting them in breathable air.
But if you went from one satellite to another satellite, you would need some sort of thrust to get you there.
Oh, yes.
Because both satellites are going around the Earth at similar speeds, maybe not the same, but similar speeds, and so you would need some sort of thrust to get you there.
So are you talking about like a way to travel between different satellite cities?
Yeah.
So what you're thinking? Because we have different options. We could do eagles, or we could do planes. We could do they are an advanced society.
Funny thing, I was actually thinking of trams.
Oh, trams?
Yeah, you just have a wire going from one city to another city, and then you just have trams going along the wires.
What if someone decides to make one city, so here's another thing. What if you're closer to the nucleus, towards the core of the world, you go faster? You spin faster. And so
we're not technically faster, but there's less distance to travel.
There's less distance to travel. So people have manipulated these satellite cities to go closer towards the core to be able to like catch up. And then when they need to slow down, they go up. They go fast.
Outside.
And then there's a risk because let's say you go to the core too much. There's a place of no return where like the core is so powerful it just pulls you in, and then you crash. Yes, or
Wow.
you consumed.
Yeah. That would be
Um,
pretty devastating.
so I was thinking, do you think this this world would work better for a book, a TV show, or movie?
That is a good question. I think visually it would be pretty fun to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would do a lot better in movie or TV show form
Okay.
because if you're reading it, I think the reader might forget, or not forget, but wouldn't think about the fact that it isn't a normal place. Like people aren't just standing on the ground
Mm-hmm. Because there's no ground.
being pulled down. They're kind of floating around
Mm-hmm.
these floating cities
These floating
being
cities.
pulled sideways.
And there can be like islands. There can be like these islands. You know, like in Avatar, the first one, the floating mountains.
Yeah, and
It.
those islands have their own gravity, so they're not just floating around.
I mean, they're also. I mean, they're not floating around. They're orbiting as well. Like they're flying. They're going around the
Right,
nucleus
but
as
if
well.
you're on the
If you're on them.
satellite, if you're on the meteor or whatever it is, the island thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm imagining it's a 3D shape,
Mm-hmm.
so you could go on all sides of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Problem would be gravity wouldn't pull you down on all sides of it.
Yeah.
So it would have to have its own gravity in order for you to go on all sides of it.
To walk around it. And
Yeah.
do I like that? Another thing is the falling concept. You know how like if you're falling, it basically there's zero gravity.
Yeah.
I want there to be the concept of in places like on these orbiting cities that you can literally jump off of them, or like if you jump up in the air you kind of float a little bit because you're just constantly falling, but then since there's no like where a wind resistance on you, you just kind of come back down.
Mhm.
um but the wind resistance needs to be like
Right.
minimal. Like let's say somebody falls off of orbiting city, all you would have to do is just like you're basically skydiving at that point, and you skydive,
Right.
and since the city's falling with you, but it's falling slower because it has a little bit more wind resistance, you can like catch back up to the city. If you do it right, you can land back on the city. I don't
Right.
know. I want it there to be like that, like that's part of the magic system, even though it's not actually a magic system. it's
Right.
it's part of the world building. But I like
But
your orbiting
some
planets, like they have their own gravity.
yeah, because that way you have a more diverse environment, so you're not just always in no gravity.
And
You need
floating
it at the point.
maybe these floating basically islands, these orbiting islands, they have enough gravity to they can grow like trees and like water on them, like have lakes on them. Like they're the only ground people know. And you can walk all the way around them, which is really cool. More and
Because
more
it
I
has
think about it.
gravity inside of this black hole's
Mm-hmm.
uh what's it called? Rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the black hole's gravity, so that
And
would be very interesting.
they're used to mine, like people mine ore from them, and people like maybe like what's it called, settlers will go and like try to live on one of them,
Yeah, cultivate it.
cultivate it, and like grow farms on it and stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder kind of animals would be in a place like this. Are there sky eels that are swimming around and
We couldn't, I mean, we couldn't call them sky eels. What would you call them?
why can't we call them sky eels?
I mean, what if there's like little sky eels and then like one really really big sky eel.
Like from Avengers?
Yeah, like from Avengers. And
That would be pretty terrifying.
that would be pretty terrifying. But they like fly
Uh,
around. They can like fly around and stuff because they basically everything's falling. So they basically everything's skydivers. So and
Yeah,
so
they're
they have like
basically just swimming.
they're basically just swimming through the air, and then they catch up to one of these rocks or like they attack a city. It would
And
almost be
they
like a leviathan.
almost, not quite though.
Not quite. Not
Yeah,
quite. Um,
I think that's what they call the thing from Avengers anyway.
a leviathan.
Yeah,
And
a
what if?
Leviathan from the Bible,
Mm-hmm. What if
giant, giant sea monster,
giant sea monster? But this one's in the
a sea
sky.
dinosaur maybe that
Yeah,
breathes fire.
this one's in the
Would
sky
your
though.
would your giant sky eel breathe fire?
Like, that would be a dragon, basically. You want there to be dragons?
Uh,
What if you have eagle riders, dragon riders, and eel riders, and then there's different countries that orbit in different orbital cities that use
Different
these
cities have different riders.
that use these creatures for like war. Like they will go and attack another orbiting city.
That would be pretty cool. And then it's like Mortal Engines at that point.
Dude, it's mortal engines, but they're falling through the air, which we could make it kind of steampunky, but I don't really want to go super steampunk. Um, if we have
Yeah.
dragons and magical eels, we might as well go like magic punk. It's called
hmm
mage punk.
hmm That's not a thing.
No, it is. It definitely is. Have you seen that gummit? Have you seen that gummit? It's on Netflix. It's the League of Legends. It's the one,
Arcane?
yeah, Arcane. That's mage punk.
No.
Yeah, what would you call it then?
What's mage about it? There's no.
No, mage is short for magic, or like you're a
Yeah.
mage.
Yeah. I don't remember anything magic in that show.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. It was very
Wrong?
steampunky, but then the one guy unlocked the secrets to magic, and they found like teleportation, a bunch of other stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's right. But that was science magic.
That was science magic. So we're getting off topic,
I
but what would
think you
you
call
call
that
science
sci-fi.
magic? Sci-fi? That's basically
That's called
sci-fi
sci-fi.
punk though.
I mean, Star Wars is science magic.
Star Wars is science magic. This is true.
Um,
We could
anyway, we're getting
it,
off topic.
we are getting off topic.
Back to the
Back to the sky
skull
eels.
sky world.
Back to the sky world. So they're like falling, but then the Mortal Engines thing is cool because then you could have it to where the cities are built to kind of navigate through the air, to where the cities are almost like will attack another city, and like we established earlier, they'll go closer to the core of the world to build to get speed, and then they'll basically come back out to not to attack, and both cities will like crash into each other, and then one
Yeah.
city will just fall on another city and they'll
Mm.
attack.
And they'll attack, and the spoils go to the victor.
The spoils go to the victor.
I don't know who Victor is, but he's always getting the spoils.
He's always getting the
Are
spoils.
there like ruins of cities floating around?
There are now, because that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What would you do with
You
ruins
have
of
to be
cities?
careful because it'd be like an asteroid field, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to be careful, otherwise it might blow a hole in your dragon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking more
Oh,
like, all right, so let's build a story real quick. We have a guy, and what he does is he found an eagle egg, and he raised up the eagle egg, and he basically became an eagle rider. And how he makes his money is he flies through these basically these abandoned city orbital cities, like pieces of orbital cities, and he explores through these orbital cities.
and he finds any useful stuff.
And he finds useful stuff and he goes and sells it. But in one of these faithful days, he lands upon an orbital city, an abandoned orbital city, just a piece broken off. And on this orbital piece, there's like a mansion. And he navigates his way through the mansion, and all the windows are open, so there's lots of wind blowing all the time. There's wind blowing all the time in this world, so always people have like stuff wrapped around their faces and stuff, and like in goggles over their eyes. And so he's in this mansion, but the mansion isn't abandoned. There's someone there.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness.
It's there.
I d- it's
Is it?
he hears a melody, and
After.
he walks and behind a closed door, the only closed door in the entire house because all the other doors have been blown open by the wind.
Uh-huh.
And he hears a melody just playing,
Uh-huh.
like an old record playing on an old record player. And he opens the door, and there's a record floating, clearly, because there's wind just swirling in this room. And it's just like picking everything up and just kind of like almost floating with it.
Right. Yeah.
And in the room, there's a guy in a rocking chair that is fully alive. And he turns to the boy and says, I can die now that I can transfer the knowledge that I have.
So you should say, I've been expecting you.
Oh, I've been expecting you. No, but I need him to like so what do you think the old man should do? Well, here's what happens.
He says, I've been expecting you, and then the episode ends.
I like it.
And then next episode, you can say, I need to tell you all of this, and then I can die.
He's been waiting to die. But what does he tell him? It needs to be a secret.
Did you not have anything to say?
I was hoping you did.
Here's what he's going to tell him. So, basically, all right, I don't know if this is where you want to go with this, but this is what I thought of.
We're coming with this on the spot, bro.
There's some sort of key he's guarding, some sort of, maybe it's a key, maybe it's a control device that is for this super secret prison containment unit for the giant sky leviathan that people are looking for, so they can release it to try to control it, and then they can take over all of the orbital cities.
So,
and this guy is the sole guardian, the sole surviving guardian of it. And they made a whole city to guard the key or whatever, but then the bad guys attacked it and destroyed it, and he's the only one that survived, or the only one that's left.
He's the only one that lived. So there is a sky leviathan,
and he's been watching the eagle guy. He's been looking for a man of good character, and he found him.
Oh, we hope. We don't know who this eagle guy is. It could be a random dude that walked into his room.
Never mind. He doesn't have a crystal ball then.
He doesn't have a crystal ball? Oh, he has a crystal ball? I apologize. I missed that part.
Well, I was just thinking, why is he expecting him if he's just the first guy who's...
You're right. He has a crystal ball. That means there is magic.
Or he doesn't have to have a crystal ball. He can, if we're trying not to have magic, here's what happens. Okay?
We can have anything we want.
Okay, the house is booby-trapped, and the eagle guy is going through it, and he's just like, what's going on with this house? And he's just like figuring out all the traps and getting through them, no problem. And then he finds some skeletons, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so basically, him getting through the booby traps shows that he's worthy to be the next guardian.
Oh, dude, so like there's trials. There's like trials of feet. Like there needs to be like trials of character. Like he's forced with the trolley problem. There needs to be, but like in real, like a real trolley problem.
Through the trolley.
There's a train going towards two tracks.
Answer for that though.
And I mean, both of them are bad. That's the point of the trolley problem. And truly, the right answer
becomes Spider-Man, and you save them both.
Mm-hmm. That's the correct answer. He becomes Spider-Man and saves them.
I mean, that's what he does in that movie. But anyway,
on
Well, that's
this.
what I'm thinking.
So
If you don't want to have a crystal ball, there's just some trials on his way uh to the room, you know.
you could have it where this old guy's a star watcher, and the stars foretold per uh a boy that rode an angel,
An eagle?
an eagle. That's right. Wrong winged
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I like
So
that. He's
so he's
watching the stars. After all, the stars are for times and seasons and signs and
mhm. I mean, our entire
things.
calendar is based off of them. So
How it goes sometimes. Just people get a little too into it, if you know what I'm saying.
mm-hmm. You're probably a
Anywho,
Scorpio. You're probably a
watching the stars.
Scorpio.
So he has a telescope
There's a
and he's
telescope.
looking into the stars out this giant window.
He
And
he foresaw the boy. All right, but I got questions. You mentioned that there is
okay,
a Leviathan that is imprisoned.
yeah.
Where is it
So
imprisoned at?
it's a secret.
Well, it has to be on
So
one of the many orbital islands.
it's on one of the orbital
But there's
rocks.
lots of orbital islands.
Yeah, there's a map and there's a key and
Oh.
all the typical cliche things of
Yeah.
super evil people locked away secretly.
Yeah.
So basically, 100 million years ago, or however long, maybe it's just like 100 years ago, the Sky Leviathan was being controlled by a bad guy,
An
and
evil wizard.
yeah, evil wizard
An evil
McGee.
wizard.
His name is now Evil Wizard McGee.
Evil wizard
And
McGee.
he or she, bad guys can be girls too, or girls can be bad guys too.
Very
Uh,
inclusive of you.
yes, I try. He or she controlled this Leviathan and was attacking all these orbital cities, and then the orbital cities were like, "Hey, we need to band together and defeat this space wizard." And so they did, and they killed the space wizard, or maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Maybe they
And
thought they killed him.
they tried to kill the Leviathan, but they couldn't. So they had to lock it up somewhere because they couldn't kill it.
All right.
So now
I
it's
have it.
in. Okay, tell me what it is.
The planet was once completed,
Oh
but
boy,
then
this is getting serious.
everything shattered.
Love it.
But the planet was only an outer crust. So everything
Okay.
shattered and broke, and everything just started orbiting the planet.
Or
Lots
was
of the
it a dice?
pieces fell into the center of the core of the black hole, and it consumed it. But there was
Mhm.
many rocks that were left orbiting just in complete air around it.
Right. Yeah.
And the evil, I was just thinking of like how everything got created.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm liking it so far.
Okay.
All right. So,
And they found,
oh,
but the wizard, I want there to be an overarching story, and we're kind of working
okay.
on that. What you got?
Okay. Well, I was thinking. Here's an idea I had about the wizard's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So, on this crust planet, like you were saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
everything's normal, everything's good. Then this scientist starts messing with things that he or she doesn't understand. We'll just call him a he for now, so I can stop saying that. And so he's experimenting with black holes or whatever. And so he opens one, and that's what causes uh, the crust to collapse, creating orbit world, air world, sky world, fall world, whatever we want to call it. And he gets sucked into the black hole and becomes the evil space wizard.
Oh my goodness.
And he wants to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I got it. All right. He wants to rebuild the crust, but he wants to rebuild it in his image.
Wants to rule the world, you say?
Yeah. So everybody except for him has adapted to Fall World. And
Fall
he's
world.
like, no, I want to. And if you wanted to, you could even make him a sympathetic villain, which is really annoying. But if you want to, you can do it. Okay, here's how. You just make it be like he's trying to undo his mistake, but he doesn't really care how he undoes it. He's just trying to rebuild the world. And then in the fine print in his image.
Fine print in his image. He's trying to
So
restore the world, but in restoring the world, he destroys what everybody's already created. So
exactly.
in Fall World, everybody's adapted. They have families. They're growing farms. Their technology is still being developed. But then he wants to go back to the way it used to be. Back
Yes,
to
exactly.
when the world was whole. And he doesn't
Exactly.
care if everyone dies to get it there.
He doesn't care.
It's not that his goals are bad. It's just the way he wants to complete the goals results in so much
A lot of
unneeded death.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
people understand what he's doing, and they're like the main protagonist is like fighting him, and it's like there's a better way, and
And
the
he's like,
bad wizard
no,
goes,
this is the only way.
"This is the only way." You took the words out of my brain. That
I'm
was amazing.
sorry.
That was great. No, that means we're on the
Yeah.
same thing. This is the only way.
This
And
is the only way.
there's like a lever next to like a nuclear core or something, or like basically a ball, and there's lightning splashing all
Yeah.
around it. It's like
And he
no.
goes for it.
All right,
The
so
guy can't stop.
to establish the world, there is magical creatures, there's magic, there's science, there's technology,
Which is science.
which is science. But then there's people
And
that are
also,
also magical, but it's
why
undefined
why is
magic
it magical
because
animals?
I don't know, mainly them animals. Maybe animals can be magical, like the dragons can be magical and
It,
the eagles can be magical.
magical how?
Dragons can spit fire. That's pretty
That's not
magical.
magic.
All right,
Uh-huh.
fine. The eagles, they grow really big. People can ride
Not
them.
magical.
Not magical. Okay, okay. The Leviathan, it's
He can be a magically modified creature. That's why there's only one. Or maybe there are more. I
all
don't
right.
know.
I'm starting to like this a lot.
Created by the evil
So
space wizard,
if there
who might
was
be a
people that were experimenting with things, the Space Wizard, that they shouldn't have been, and
uh-huh.
they ended up destroying the world that they knew to make the Fall
Uh-huh.
World.
Right?
Then there was people that could they were carvers that could carve out the genetic code and manipulate it, and they made
Like
different
Jurassic
animals
Park.
and stuff
Like Jurassic Park.
like Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And
I like
so
it.
maybe they
But
took a
just for the
normal
record,
eagle
it's still
and they
not
made it
magic.
bigger. Yeah, so no magic, just like super advanced genetic altering science.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so they were like, we could make giant eagles and we could use them like courier pigeons. Like this was early in Fall World's history. And
Yeah.
so
This
they
was I like it. So
and
they
so
needed
mhm.
here's what I'm thinking. So they needed
Okay.
a way of travel, right, from place to place. And like, eagles are a pretty ferocious bird, but
Mhm.
they didn't have any dragons or anything, so they had to use an
Not
eagle because
yet.
that was what was indigenous to their little
Not not
Columbus.
yet. All right, I just had a brilliant idea.
All right, shoot.
So, do you know anything about like the Iliad or like the Odyssey, like the Greek
Yeah. Yeah.
mythics?
Homer.
Homer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a story in there which I probably actually should read it at some point. But there's a guy trying to get back home. There's actually a really good dadgummit, the epic series on that he made a bunch of music. It's a dadgummit. My brain ain't braining right
Are you
now.
talking about Odysseus?
Yeah, Odysseus. So Odysseus is trying to get back home. So we could do that in the sky world, fall world.
Is the guy trying to get back home?
And he has the orbital island hop. He has to go through these cities. And on these different islands, there's like abominations that scientists have created and then abandoned. And so there's like a cyclops on one. There's where the sirens,
Okay, just
there's dragons, there's
you're
steam.
literally just taking Odysseus's story and putting it into
Yes.
forward.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
but I also want so shoot, but I like the E. It's a good. It's is it not a good idea? Is it not?
It's a good idea.
No,
Except we're not going to use a Cyclops and sirens. We'll
no.
design our own.
But we can use the concept. It's the
Yeah,
concept
we
of
could use the would be fine. Concepts are allowed to be used.
concepts are allowed to be used.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep and so the concept is of a journey through fall world, or he's trying to get back home. Of a
Yeah.
man.
What's back
This
home?
is
Does he
this
have a
is
wife back home?
he has a wife back home.
Wait. Is this like a while after the crust broke or right after the crust
Let's
broke?
say a while after. Let's say
This,
history. Because I need the scientists to have time to experiment and create bunches of monsters and wild things for our protagonist to
uh-huh.
encounter.
Uh-huh.
And people need to become well adapted to
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's keep the crazy wizard guy that wants to rebuild the crust though, because he found a
Uh-huh.
way and he needed time to do
Uh-huh.
that. Um,
Uh-huh.
maybe for like season 2, like once he finds his wife, we like introduce this second plot, or maybe that is
Yeah.
the plot. Like he's trying to get back
Maybe his
home.
wife is the evil wizard.
Oh! And maybe she doesn't want him to get back home. And maybe she knows he's the only one that can stop her. So she keeps sending people out to stop him or to kill him. And
But
so,
not to kill him because she loves him.
but then she doesn't want him to stop him.
Because
It's like a
love
love-hate relationship.
no, it's just the love relationship because love is the only thing that can go through the fourth dimension.
Mm.
I was trying to go for an interstellar reference, but it didn't work
Mm-hmm.
out.
It didn't work out.
So forget that.
It's okay. I like the attempt. It's better to try and to
All right.
fail and than
So
it is
there's a
to be
love
like
hate
those.
relationship.
Dadgummit, I was gonna say
So
something
she
really
loves him,
philosophical.
but she loves her task more. So she's like, I love you, but don't get in my way because I will not stop, even if I have to run you over.
Yeah, yeah. But like she sends people to slow him down. And she's like, don't kill him. But if you have to, I understand. And a tear rolls down her face. And then she walks
Yes.
off knowing that she's doing. All right, so he but I like the Odysseus thing. Like he's off fighting a war on the
Uh-huh.
other side of Fall World. Because everything kind of
Uh-huh.
orbits somewhat at the same speed, but there are faster things
Yeah.
closer to the core. And so there
Right.
is an other side of the world. So
Right.
he fights that, and then he has to get back because he finds out. You
Wait.
know,
So hang on.
yeah,
Okay. So here's what I just had. I just had a thought.
yeah,
His wife.
yeah.
Okay, the evil wizard lady
Mm-hmm.
starts this disturbance because I don't know. We have to figure out who this eagle guy is. Maybe he's like the top warrior guy. Okay.
Maybe he's Odysseus.
Right. Which Odysseus was a super good warrior and he was super smart.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who came up with the Trojan horse, supposedly, allegedly.
Supposedly.
Um, so she's like, I need to get rid of him, but as we've established, she doesn't want to kill him. So she starts a war on the other side of the world, on some other orbital city. And then she's like, hey, uh, there's this war going on over there. You should go help them because you're really good. And yeah, so he goes. And then she's like, okay, now he's out of the way. I can do my stuff. But then
Oh,
it ends before she thought it would
because
because
he was
he's
so
just that
smart.
good.
Because he's that good.
Yeah, just that good. And so he's on his way back, and she hears that it's over, and then she's like, oh no, I can't let him get back, otherwise he'll stop me. And so that's when she sends all
That's
of
when
the things to
that's when she
stop him.
says all the. That's when she sins all the things. I
Yes.
like it. I like because that's like some really good political intrigue. Like she starts a war.
Yeah.
She is the
Yes.
mastermind of all of it the
Yes.
entire time.
The entire time. She was the bad guy all along.
All along. Do
All
you
along.
do you think somebody that's watching a TV show or a movie should know that she's the bad guy?
Not all along, no.
Not all along. It might be fun
At
if it was a
some point.
TV show. It might be fun to see to like follow these two characters like at the same time going through the same things. Like
Like
she has
half
her
an episode's about what she's doing, half an episode's about what he's doing,
it cuts back and
or
forth.
one episode's about what he's doing, the next episode's about what she's doing,
I would
or
say
it just cuts back and forth
this
the whole
cuts back
time.
and forth, cuts back and forth
Mm.
because they need to be very intermingled. They're like both affecting one another.
So it'll
It,
be like she's like, "Oh no, send this Cyclops to go slow him down," and then he goes and fights the Cyclops.
mm-hmm. I like it.
I see.
I feel like there's still a lot of holes, and the
I don't
idea's
think so.
not.
I think this is a pretty solid idea.
It is. It's pretty solid, but it needs some more development. Would
Well, of
you do you want to
course.
continue developing it, or do you want to jump to our second topic, the underwater city, where the entire world's just water?
Okay. Um. Well, what do you think needs more development? I mean, I could start a script tonight for this thing.
Yeah, because you're like that good though. All right, let's
I'm not
continue with
saying I'm going to.
what if we make it what if we put the world the water world and the sky world in make them
It's
the
the
same
same
world.
world.
Yeah. Make it to where the nucleus of the planet has a water
Ocean
ocean
around it.
just completely covering it.
Yeah. And
And
the orbital cities can't go too close to the water, otherwise they'd get sucked in and everybody
or
would
they
drown.
crash or they crash. And there's people that live on top of the city. Do you think there's on top of the water, or do you think there should be people like in the water, like what, like two different races, like a water
I don't
race
know.
and
What's your
a
idea for the water? Talk to me here. Okay, so hey, this makes sense. So basically, it wasn't it wasn't just a crust planet, with a
mm-hmm.
core. It was like a core and then water and then land on top of the water.
Mm.
And then the crust broke and the water
I just had a brilliant idea. So it was a
over the
crust
water.
planet with water and then the core, just exactly what you said. But the scientists are experimenting with the core and they made it spin 10 times as fast. And so what it did is
Oh,
it broke across the core and it just spread everything out.
oh. Have you ever seen what's it called? Core? I think it's just called core. Where they drill to the center of the earth to restart the earth's rotation.
I think I have actually.
Yeah. That's what it made me think of. So they
Mm,
do something like that,
yeah,
except it speeds it up and
everything
breaks apart the
mhm,
crust.
due to centrifugal force of the gravity. It
Yes.
it sends all of the land mass outwards.
And it expands the orbit of the
Ocean.
core. No, the
Oh.
orbit of the. So basically, like when the crust is full, when the crust was together, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say it spanned, or it had like
It had a
300,000
diameter.
mile circumference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it breaks apart
And it gets
and it
bigger.
expands. So now it's like a 3 million mile circumference.
So second thing, the ocean expands too. So, but there's pockets.
Oh,
There's pocket. But I'm just running this by this. You know, like you
uh-huh.
get to the bottom of the ocean and there's ground.
Yeah.
So you can act. So think of this ocean like there's a top of the ocean and there's a bottom of the ocean, but you can fall through the bottom of the ocean, and then there's just empty space, and then the core that you're just sucked into. So it would be like
So
a
there's like
hollow
an air
ball.
pocket around the core.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Is there
Good.
anything in there?
There
Are
can be
there void monsters in there?
void monsters.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like
I think
fun.
there should be void monsters
Void monsters
that
between the
can
pocket under
exist.
the ocean and
Yeah,
between the
that can
core.
exist inside of the outrageous gravitational pull of the
Mm-hmm.
core. And
There are these void titans, and these
sometimes they sneak into the water and eat people.
they can send things through the bottom of the ocean that swim up through the ocean and attack anything they can find.
Maybe the giant leviathan is actually a void monster that got genetically modified to be huge.
Ooh, I like it. What if the fall world scientists go down to the water world scientists and they go and they capture void monsters to experiment on
And they're the magical creatures.
magical creatures? And
If you
maybe
want
the void monsters, they use them as their fuel and they can, because they're like supercharged with like energy, like
black hole
antimatter,
energy,
black hole energy,
antimatter energy.
and they can use them as a fuel. So like they're hunted. Like the void monsters are the hunters and the hunted, but then so are the people.
There's like lions. Hmm. This is very interesting.
This is very
So
interesting.
what are the underwater people?
I don't know. Should they be like fishmen? Should they be?
People?
Should they just be people that can breathe
I don't know.
through in water?
Like
Well,
water world
well,
situation?
well. Think of it like this:
Gilbertron?
since the water's falling too, right? The
Is
water's
it?
well, it's rotating. Let's say the water's
Uh,
rotating. It's all rotating together, so it's not like it's moving. If you're in the water behind you is pushing on you at the same rate as the water in front of you is pulling on you because everything's falling and rotating around
uh-huh.
the core. So
Right.
therefore, technically, that means there's no water pressure, right? Because everything's just falling still
Because everything's just going sideways instead of down.
instead of down,
Yeah.
meaning that the water pressure is technically zero. I feel like if there's a scientist listening to this, their minds are like, no, that's not how it works at all. Or
That's okay. We're not coming up with a real world. We're coming up with a theory. We're crafting a
no,
theory.
we're crafting a theory. We're crafting a we're theory crafting. The name of
Yes.
the
That's
pond.
the name of the
That's the
show.
name. That's the name.
That's the name of the show.
I feel like there should be a counter at the bottom of the screen that shows how many
How
times
many times we say the
we've
name
said
of
the
the
name
show?
of the show.
Yes,
Um
we need many those.
but basically it allows
So
you to
yes,
dive down
so
deep,
there's
right?
no Yeah, so there's no pressure down, there's no multiplication of atmospheres as
Uh-huh.
you go further down. Um, yeah, I like that. What would the light situation be?
The light situation be?
Yeah.
Ooh. Mm. So there has to be like a sun, right?
Right, of course. And then is there light coming from the core?
What if there's two suns that orbit on either side of the world that
So it's
that
never dark,
so it's never dark?
like pitch black?
Yeah. But I was going something more for like gravity. So they're it's constantly being pulled. Basically, the entire concept is just messing with gravity.
Right.
Um,
So the
but
two
but I
stars are in with the gravity that helps it
yeah,
go
but I don't want to
around.
use gravity engines or anything like that because that just breaks things. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
we
just
just have a gravity engine. We'll just turn it on and it does whatever we want. No, like everything's falling,
yeah,
and
there's
people have
no way around it,
the,
except if you go to one of those rocks that has its own gravity.
except for if you go to one of the rocks. And you
Yes.
can walk all the way around the rocks because trees grow all the way like a 360 degrees around the rock, like on the bottom,
Yeah,
on the top, all the way around it.
all of it,
All
everywhere. And
there,
they
there's
grow big because
they
of the light.
they go big,
Really big.
really big trees. So
But
big, in
also there's
fact,
not
that
that much land so that maybe they don't grow so big.
maybe, but then they're falling, so maybe they always grow on one side of the rock because the wind is like constantly blowing them backwards. So they're always falling
Interesting.
in a direction. You're always falling in one
They're
direction.
always walking around the.
Mm-hmm. Because everything's falling and they're always falling down. Like wherever you fall is down, and wherever the wind blows is up.
The wind doesn't blow up though. The wind blows sideways.
No, but I mean, you're falling through the wind though. You're falling through the air, so therefore the wind blows against you, right? Am I getting it wrong? I'll change. I'll change.
Um. So technically speaking, if we're going off of centrifugal force,
Mm-hmm.
that would make down the opposite direction of the core.
Down would be the opposite. Well,
Yeah. So the core's in the middle,
we're getting
and
too
then
sciencey.
you have this big circle going around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have space outside of the circle.
Yes.
So technically, the centrifugal force would be trying to throw you into space.
Yes. But then the gravity is keeping you locked in the rotation.
It's pulling you down,
Just like
which makes you go
satellites.
sideways
Mm-hmm.
because the centrifugal force is equal to the gravity pulling you down, which would
Yes.
make you go sideways, which would still make the wind blow sideways.
Sideways. Okay, I'm with you. But so let's say you're a little boy and you were born on one of these orbital cities. You're like, Mother, which way's down? And she looks at you and goes, Oh, little Timmy, down is the way we fall. It's like, up is the way the wind blows. In the sky,
But the wind, if you
that's to the side, and then the cores, the water or the ocean, that's to the other side. I don't know. I'm like, that's like
yeah,
on a tilt. Like I'm thinking of everything like
we
on a
can go
tilt.
with this. We
Maybe
can go with
oh, we
that.
should just come up with a northeast and west. All right, what's the core?
South,
South. Okay.
yeah,
What's the sky?
north.
Which way are they falling?
Opposite, the opposite direction of the core is north. So that would be space.
That'd be space. But which way are they falling
Okay,
then?
so Earth rotates east, I think.
Yeah, it rotates. It rotates east. This is true. You are correct.
So that would mean they are falling east.
They're falling east. They're falling east. And then where they fall from
Is
is
west.
west. They're
But
going towards
then
east and they're leaving west.
they're the opposite of the sun.
Opposite.
Actually, I feel like it should be the same as the sun. That's
So
just fine. We can
let's
just
go
have
back
it.
to one
We can
sun. Let's go back to
have
one
it
sun.
however we want it to be.
This is true. But so if but here's a question. There's only one sun. Let's go back to one sun.
Okay, one
The
sun. There's
sun
only
is on
one.
the other side of the planet, but since it's like the
Okay.
planet is 99% air,
Yes.
wouldn't that mean you can see the sun through the planet? Like you could pretend like the sun's shining on China, but if we just like look down, it's just empty space. I mean, there's a core there, and there's some water around the core, like floating
Oh.
around it, also rotating. But you could see it through. Like there's that means it's never technically dark,
Um.
right? Like it's shining up to us.
Theoretically,
So like
but
the
so
sun
the
is at
sun
the
in the
bottom.
sky is only, you know, a couple. It's like 5 inches or whatever. I don't know. It's the size of your fist, whatever.
Yeah.
So that means it would only take that much space at a distance. Obviously, the further away something is, the smaller it looks. So the bigger it is, the
Well,
more it would have to,
are you
the
saying
more it
something
would
could
block.
cover it up?
Yes. So basically, if there's something very big that's semi close to you, it would
Mm-hmm.
block it.
Yes.
Or if there's something that's smaller but even closer, it would block it. Or if it's very, very, very big and far, far, far away,
All right.
it would
Let's
block it. So,
think of
but
it.
here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, what that means though would be an eclipse would be when you are behind the core and the sun is on the other side of the core, because then
Ooh.
the sun would be completely blocked by the core.
Mm. That's the eclipse.
Yeah, that
So
would be
that
an
means,
eclipse.
but that's kind of sweet because that means you're above it. You're looking down at the core, and the sun passes in between. The core passes between you and the sun, and like it eclipses for a
Now,
second.
you're looking south at the core.
Yes, you're looking south at the core.
Wait, okay.
I know it's trippy, right?
We need
The,
to go back to the north and south thing.
all
Okay,
right,
so
all right. Let me run by one with you, and then you can. I want you to back thing. So what I had is the core is, let's say the core is down, the sky's up. They fall east. They're falling from west. You like that? What do you think about that?
um
And
I
then to the left of falling, to the left of east is north, and to the right of east is south.
but okay, so where they're falling needs to be down.
But they're orbiting the planet though. Like if you looked
Right.
up at satellites in
That's
the
what makes
sky.
it different. That's what
Yeah.
makes it different.
Yeah.
So if you look at a satellite in the sky, the direction it's traveling is down. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. So they're traveling down. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
They're traveling down. And then where they travel from is up.
Well, I guess that would be the direction the wind would be
So
blowing because that's the way they're traveling.
that's what we're back. Oh, yes. So now, since where they're traveling is down and where they came from was
Okay, but
up,
are their feet on something or are they just floating?
it depends. It depends if
If
they have
they're on
something.
if they're on Okay, no, this works. This works. So the direction they're traveling is down. The direction opposite of their travel is up. I like the core being south and space being north, and then, to the right of north is east,
Mm-hmm.
and to the left is west.
I love it.
Is that what you were saying?
It did. Yep. That's how it is. Because my mental image joined with yours, and that's we're on the same page. We're gonna stay there. But here, I
All
just
right.
thought of how these cities are created. Because
How are they created?
they're not created flat. Because
Right.
you have a point at the city that's going through the wind,
Right.
right? And so if you
Right.
wanted to build a city, you build it up.
Uh-huh.
And so because you're falling,
Right.
all right, forget like the planet system. Just pretend you jump out of a plane and we're falling and you fall forever and you're
Right.
building something. And so you
Right.
build, and so if you wanted to go up to your neighbor, you just go your neighbor's house is actually above you and maybe like a little bit
Yeah.
to the left. And the next house is above you and a little bit to the right. And there's a group of
Yeah.
houses that are kind of built on a somewhat kind of staggered up and down thing, like a cluster, more up and to the left. And so all the cities build up basically because all you would have to do to go from the bottom to up is you just jump, you throw your body wide to create some wind resistance, and then you just fly upwards. And then to go
Yeah.
down, you would tuck and you would basically make yourself very little wind resistance and you would go down.
Right.
Or you'd have like these kites because maybe your body maybe the wind resistance on the city was too much. And so everybody has like these kites for going up. And then for down, you
Right.
just fold your kite.
Uh-huh.
Or wingsuits. Everybody's wearing wingsuits or like squirrel suits.
Wearing wingsuits. I like it.
Like, oh my goodness. I kind of like the world way more now. Like it's a super cool concept
It is. It's pretty great.
that you created, basically. That we created.
You? Yeah, you. Mostly you. It was your
No,
idea.
no, the idea was
Okay, so I just had
no,
this thought
but then you made
on
it.
on these, as we've established, there are certain rocks, meteors, whatever, that have their own gravity. And so if people build on those, then it'd be like the rich side would be the upside because there's no wind on that
Because
side.
there's no wind on that side.
Yeah. And so uh it would be pretty normal living on that side. Like normal as in what was before
Mm-hmm.
everything broke.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be very high value land. Whereas on the other side where, it's falling, all that would be super windy because they'd be taking basically all of the wind. So that would make it less valuable.
I like it. So there's like a slum part, and it's the part just like eating the wind. It's just eating it. It's just
Yeah.
app.
Exactly.
I like it. And then like the people that live in the satellite cities look at the island people and it's like, oh, it's one of the islanders, the dirt lovers. They have like
Yeah.
slain for them.
Yeah.
They say they're like, let's say there's like animosity between the people that live on a orbiting island in an orbital city.
And then also between the water people, or are the water people okay with the orbiting people?
I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't be okay with them either.
The scientists are okay with them because they just care about knowledge and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the average people don't like them. They say, "Oh, it's one of those sky people."
One of those
They say,
sky,
"Oh, it's one of those water people."
one of the water people. Do you think they should be like normal people, or do we want to come up with like multiple races?
The water people?
Yeah. Do you think they're just people
Well,
that have basically
no,
just
because they
built
were
into the
living.
water?
So the question is, were they living in the water before the world broke?
Hmm. Thought about that. Were they living in the water before the world broke?
Yes.
I don't know. I kind of want it to be people, just so we can scientifical philosophize about how you would build a city inside of an ocean that has no pressure. Like technically,
Uh,
if you're falling
so the house
within an
on the
ocean,
block.
could you like take a bucket of water and just kind of throw it up in the air and it like just floats there and like maybe slowly falls back into the body of water? Like would it be like a floating orb of water?
What?
All
In
right.
an ocean, a bucket of water? How are you gonna have a bucket of water in an ocean?
All right. You're in a plane. You jump
I'm in a
out of
plane.
the plane
Jump
with
out of the plane.
3,000 gallons of water.
3,000 gallons of water.
Okay? Just don't
Okay.
think of how the plane got it up there. Just don't think about it.
I'm
Okay.
not. Just what's happening now?
You're falling, but you're falling forever with this water. Okay?
Okay, and we're falling at the same rate, I assume.
And you're falling at the same rate as the water. But you're in the
Right.
water. You got your bathing
I'm in
suit
the
on.
water.
You're hanging out in the water. And so you can like
Is
swim
it
to
a
one side of the
bucket
water.
of water or is it just free
It's
water?
300,000 gallons of water.
Of free water?
Of free water. It's just
There's no bucket, no
no bucket,
container, just
no
free
container.
water. A
Okay?
giant blob of water
Okay?
falling.
It The only thing keeping
Imagine
it
drowning
together
right
is that water is
there.
kind of like holding on to itself, right?
Cohesion. Cohesion.
The cohesion. Around the
Yeah.
bubble, of course, water is being kind of thrown up into a mist,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
Around it,
Yeah.
okay? But
Right. But there's a lot of water, so
there's a
it's
lot of
not
water.
all of
Let's
it.
actually expand it. It's an endless waterfall that's coming from nowhere. That's endless. That's just falling
There's a
straight
portal
down.
at the bottom that portals it back up to the top.
No, there's
That's what
actually
I
no
think.
bottom. There's only a portal at the top. It just falls. There's no bottom.
Well, there has to be a bottom.
No, it actually, get this, it actually circles it circles the planet and comes back and links to itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where this is going.
You see where this is going now?
Okay, and I'm falling in
You're
this
with
waterfall.
this water that's just falling straight
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, I got it. I got it. Got it.
And
Got
you
it.
have a bucket of water. And so technically, if you take the bucket of water and just push it up a little bit, isn't it just now falling kind of up a little bit? Like just further.
To the waterfall that I'm in?
Yeah, just like paralleling you now.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Also, that means the ocean is not completely surrounding the nucleus. It's just like a strip.
Or it could be a sphere.
No, but then how is the water falling at the top if we fall
Whirlpools.
east? Or if we fall down?
Whirlpool.
Whirlpool. It whirlpools at the top and bottom?
Yeah.
I love that. And circles back
Yeah.
and like comes back into itself.
Yeah.
So there's like an edge. Oh my goodness. Actually, that mental image in my head is amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen in the sky world because it's big enough that, well, you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. Okay, but here's the concept again. If there's humans that are wanting to build stuff on this ocean, technically they can just like shift water upwards to build little pockets of air and then build something in the pockets of air before the water maybe like the gravity slowly pulls it back and it reforms with the rest of the body of water. And so that's how they found a way to like build in this water, in like on top of the water and just around the water.
So they're just humans basically that
Yeah.
manipulate air and water. They're
Yes.
not breathing underwater.
They're not breathing underwater because I think I want to explore the concept of them overcoming this challenge instead of just like they don't overcome the challenge. Like how would humans that jumped out of a plane, you're skydiving in water, let's say 300 million gallons of water. You build something in it. They just push it around. But I mean, you got to be careful because there's a bottom, and if you fall through the bottom, you either can try to catch maybe a stream of water that's coming up from the whirlpools, or you just fall into the core and die.
Or you get eaten by a void monster.
Or you get eaten by the void monsters. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's just whatever happens is not good.
Whatever happens, if you fall through the bottom of the ocean, it's not good.
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
you also have to be careful because eventually the air pockets close, and if you're not
Mm-hmm.
paying attention, it might close on you and you might drown.
And you might drown. You
And
might
then your
drown
body would be forever just spinning around
in the water.
or in the water until you got eaten by a void monster.
But let's say there's fish in the water
They're
that
gonna
eat
eat your body
that eat your body. There's a whole ecosystem in the water.
like sharks,
Mmm.
and then the
Yes.
sharks swim out of the water and become sky sharks.
God, sharks. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. What if there's a tornado?
How would that work exactly?
I don't know. I don't think tornadoes would be possible while you're skydiving.
I don't think so either.
Well, because everything is spinning the same direction. So there's
Yeah.
no counter wind going on.
There's not
Maybe
any wind so
maybe
much as the things are moving through the air.
yes. More more that there's things moving through the air. I love that. That's a great.
Yeah. So no tornadoes, no hurricanes, no typhoons, and
But
stuff like
what if there are clouds because let's say the sun evaporates the water and the
that. Oh, it does
clouds
rain.
it does
Um,
rain. But the
What if
rain
on
likes to
the road?
congregate around the sky islands because they have gravity, and the clouds kind of congregate around them and rain all over the sky islands, and that's how they get
And
water
water the trees?
and water the trees.
So that's another reason why rich people would live on those sky islands because they are self-watering, whereas the orbital cities, they need to get their water from somewhere.
Well, the orbital cities would try to probably fly through a cloud accumulation, and they would put out their water catchers, and they would just catch all of the frozen water inside the clouds, and then convert that into
If
drinkable
there,
water.
what if there are, so some part of the planet is always going to be eclipsed, right? Just like some part of
Yeah,
our planet always has night.
yeah,
So,
but it's up through the bottom, or I mean, up
right,
through
here's
from
what I'm
some
thinking.
point.
Okay, so the part of the what if the part of the planet that's eclipsed, there's giant icebergs orbiting uh core because they never get sun, so they never heat up, so they never melt.
And they
And
rotate
they're
at the
just
exact same speed as the sun is orbiting this
right,
world.
just opposite, the
Yeah.
same but opposite.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you.
if they ever come across those icebergs, they can just scrape some of the ice off, melt it, and have some pretty nice water.
Mm. Oh my goodness. It's real. It's happening. The world is becoming realized.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I I like it. I like it a lot. Now we just got to tell the story inside this world.
We already have the story.
Yeah.
Remember the evil wizard lady
Mm-hmm.
with Odysseus, her husband?
Mm-hmm. We probably have to change the name for copyright reasons. And it
No,
needs to not be too on the nose so people don't know what we're doing.
Odysseus is definitely public domain at this point.
Probably. You know what?
I
We'll make
don't
him
think.
Steamboat Willie.
I don't think. Who wrote that? Plato.
Uh,
I don't think his copyright is.
Steamboat Willie or
So
Odysseus. Homer, right? Wasn't that his name?
I thought that was. I could be stupid, but I thought that was the guy who it's about. Isn't that the guy who it's about?
No, it's about it. It's the Greek gods. It's basically the Greek Bible and
Oh
Roman Bible.
no, it's not that. But it is. I was confused with something else for some reason.
Confucius is
Yeah,
in
it is.
those
That is
stories,
why.
probably.
That is why it's called Homer's Odyssey, because Homer wrote it.
Well, do you have any other cool ideas?
Nope.
Well, then we'll go to the sponsor section at this point. We are sponsored by The Incredible Quest. It is a upcoming tabletop RPG system that uses the D20 system. If you are fans of D&D, Pathfinder, and other such tabletop RPGs, then you're sure to like this one. It will probably release in probably a year or two, maybe 3. I don't know. It will release. I'm currently doing a lot of the play testing.
Just
But
tune in next time. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah, tune in next time so you can stay updated. And then we also have a book author that is currently supporting us. DJ, you got that one?
Yeah. So it's a adventure fantasy book written by Nathan Wayne. It's called The Divided Kingdom of Sunland. It's about these two thieves and a princess who have to go and save the kingdom. And it's on Amazon. There's a sequel. There's 2 of them. So be sure to get both of them and read them. And there might be more to come.
I sure enjoyed the first one. It was
So
actually
did I.
It was pretty good, actually. I really like the characters. They were definitely very fun characters. And the world is very intriguing.
Yeah, it's a very lighthearted adventure.
Well, as the book goes on, it gets better. Like even like better and better and better. Like
This is true.
so it's a good read.
So check it out. Go on Amazon.
Well,
it's on there.
It's on there. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and thank you DJ for being so amazing.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you,
All right.
Ezekiel, for co-hosting with me.
All right. Bye everyone.